Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, hi, my name is Sydney. I film cruelty-free beauty videos 3 days a week, and today is a very exciting video because I am going to rank all of my ColourPop palettes today. So, little disclaimer, I did already film this video once. It was like a month and a half ago. Hated how the footage turned out, and then I never got around to refilming it, but I thought it would be fun to do today because I don't know, I love these ranking videos. I'm not sure if I'm going to rank every single category in my collection, but I would like to do a couple more of these videos, so leave me a comment down below letting me know which category of my makeup I should do next. Should I rank all my eyeshadow palettes? Should I rank a certain brand? Blushes, bronzers, highlighters? Let me know down below. I would love to get some feedback from you guys, but without further ado, let's hop into it. So before we get into the actual rating, I do kind of want to talk on the rating system that I came up with. I've seen quite a few of these kind of ranking videos, and a lot of people just do them kind of based on preference, but I really want to do it in a way that's helpful to you guys as well, where I'm providing helpful feedback. And so I kind of drew inspiration from Sarah Rose. You guys know I love her. I talk about her all the time. Her channel will be linked down below. And she did a similar video. She didn't rank her ColourPop palettes, but she ranked something else, I think. And she kind of created a rubric or a rating system. So she came up with a couple categories and I did the same. So the categories that I came up with for today are formula, packaging, versatility, how much inspiration it gives me, and if I feel like it can create a full look for me. And that would result in a total score of 25. Each one's going to be 5 points. So I'll be sure to share the score for each category with you guys. And of course, the overall end score will determine the palette's ranking. So I'm going to stop babbling on and let's get into the palettes now. Alright, so the first palette up is my ColourPop Misunderstood palette. This one was created in collaboration with Disney. And I've been pretty vocal on my channel about how this isn't my absolute favorite palette. It's not my least favorite palette, but it's definitely not my favorite either. So let's start getting into the rankings. So I gave this one a 5 for the formula. I have no issues with the formula of these shadows. I think they're all really beautiful, and I seriously think ColourPop's formula just gets better and better. I gave it a 3.5 for packaging. I was really partial to the packaging that was on kind of the rest of the collection, like the Super Shock shadows, or were they Jelly Much shadows? I think they were Jelly Much shadows, and like the lipstick, I thought that beautiful kind of neon artwork was so stunning. I'll insert some pictures while I'm talking about this so you guys can see what I mean. And this packaging just, I don't know, I was a bit let down by it. Versatility, I gave it a 3. I just feel like this is quite a smoky palette and it doesn't really have enough mid-tone mattes for it to be anything other than kind of a smoky palette. Of course, you can put metallics in your crease. I just prefer to have more mid-tone matte shades for versatility. Inspiration, I gave it a 3.5 for kind of the same reason. I can rock a smoky eye, and I do enjoy rocking a smoky eye from time to time, but it's not always my preference. I do like to have more mid-tones than deeper smoky shades, and again, I'm kind of missing those key mattes. And then for ability to create a full look, I gave it a 4. I kind of look for some mid-tone matte, something kind of light to set down my lid, an inner corner highlight, and a matte to put my outer corner. That's typically what I look for and typically what I'm going to be talking about when I'm talking about this category. And this has most of those things, but not all. So that resulted in a total score of 19, which put it in last place. Next palette, which is in 8th place, is the Brown Sugar palette. This one was in collaboration with Karuche. I don't know if that's how you say your name. I feel like it's not. But the first category is formula, and I gave this one a 5. I don't know what ColourPop did in this formula, in this collab, but it is so amazing, you guys. Everything is so creamy, so pigmented. I don't have any blending issues. I think it's just absolutely stunning. Packaging, I gave it a 4.5. I think the packaging is nice. It's nice and sturdy. I don't love the brown, but I'm not super upset by it. Honestly, I do wish that they would go back to their cardboard packaging with these 9-pan palettes because cardboard is more environmentally friendly, but I do like the nice mirror that's in this palette as well. Versatility, I gave it a 3. It's a warm, neutral palette. It's a pretty palette, and I think it's something that I'll get a lot of wear out of, but I don't think I could really create very versatile looks in here, but I do like the range of shades that it does include. Inspiration, I also gave it a 3 because pretty much the same reason. There's not that much versatility in here. And then finally, for ability to create a full look, I gave it a 4. All that's really missing in here is kind of a light shade to highlight my inner corner and set down my primer. So this one got a total score of 19.5, which landed it in 8th place. This next one absolutely knocked my socks off, you guys. I could not believe that this palette ended up being ranked so low, because if I was just ranking these based on like my personal preference, which this is kind of my personal preference, but with some more objectivity in it, this one would be so much closer to the top. I just thought it was so telling of this rating system that objectively, while it's still a good palette, it may not hit all those categories that I kind of look for in palettes, and that is the Sweet Talk palette from ColourPop. If you guys watched the haul video that I hauled this in, you guys know I was so excited to get this palette. It's been on my wish list for a really long time, and it was finally on sale, and I scooped it up, and I was so excited, and I wore it all summer long so very much. So let's talk about the formula in here. So I gave this formula a 4, and I'm pretty sure I only give it a 4 because this brown tends to give me a little bit of blending trouble in the outer corner. And sometimes I feel like this shade doesn't quite give me enough oomph, or as much oomph as I'm looking for. Packaging wise, I gave it a 5. I adore this packaging. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I love the little floral details. I love the front. It's just beautiful. Versatility is where this palette really got hurt. I gave this one a 2.5 because I feel like I played with this palette for a good 2 weeks, and all the looks that I did came out looking pretty darn similar. Warm, peachy, neutral, which I'm not complaining about. Those are some of my favorite looks to create, but it's definitely something that I noticed with this palette. Inspiration, I give it a 3.5 because, like I said, these are some of my absolute favorite tones to work with, but there's not that much versatility in here. And then ability to create a full look, I gave it a 5. It kind of checks all those boxes for me, and that resulted in a total score of 20, putting it in 7th place. The next one was another one that I was like, oh my gosh, there's no way this is ranked that low. I love this palette so much, and that is Dream Street. So this one came in 6th place. I gave the formula a 4.5 simply because I feel like this shade is kind of a dud shade for me. It's definitely workable, but it's a bit more sparse than I want it to be. It doesn't have quite as an intense base as I was hoping it would, but otherwise I do really enjoy the formula in this palette. Packaging, I gave it a 4. I just hate that the names aren't written on mine, which I know they've gone and corrected that, but it's not corrected on mine, and I feel like mine looks really dirty, so I kind of wish it was a different color other than white, but otherwise I do like the packaging. Versatility, I gave it a 4. Simply because I feel like 98% of the looks that you come away from this palette with are definitely very warm. It does have those couple pops of blue in there, but they're definitely not enough to completely change the tone of a look that you're going to come out of this palette with, but I do think it can create some diverse looks within the warm color story. And then ability to create a full look, I gave it a 5 because it checks all my boxes. So that resulted in a total score of 20.5, landing this one in 6th place. I was really not surprised about this next palette. It's one of my favorite palettes from ColourPop. Well, honestly, I love all my ColourPop palettes, but I love this palette so very much, so I was really not surprised that it landed in 5th place, and that is the She palette from ColourPop. So formula-wise, I gave this one a 5. I really do enjoy the textures and the tones in here. I have no issues formula-wise. Packaging, I gave it a 5. It has beautiful packaging. I love, love, love the rose detail on the inside, on the front. I think it's really gorgeous. Versatility, I gave it a 3.5 simply because I feel like everything that you come away with from this palette is warm and rosy and possibly a little plummy, but it doesn't really have a lot of versatility. Inspiration, I gave it a 4 because this may not be inspiring to some people, but I absolutely love warm tones, and I feel like this little palette would just keep me happy for so long, especially in the fall time that we have coming up. And then ability to create a full look, I gave it a 4. I'm really just missing some nice bright shades to kind of set down my eyeshadow primer with for this one. So this one is in 5th place. Next palette that I want to talk about is Good Sport. You guys, this is one of my favorites. First of all, I gave the formula a 3.5. Even though this is one of my favorite palettes, the formula in here can be a little bit temperamental. This purple can be a little bit temperamental. I feel like I've had some blending issues in the past with this kind of deep dark shade. But otherwise, everything is pretty good. It's not impossible to work with, it's just not perfect. Packaging, I gave it a 4 because honestly, I bought this palette with the intention of depotting it, but it's really grown on me, you guys. The leopard print is growing on me. Versatility, I gave it a 5 because I just feel like everything in this palette is so versatile. I love the mix of colorful shades, more neutral shades. I love the tones. I just really love it, you guys. This palette makes me so happy. And then inspiration, I gave it a 5. These fall tones are what I dream of at night. And ability to create a full look, I gave it a 5. I'm not sure why I gave it a 5 because looking at this now, I'm like, I don't have any highlighty shades in here, so I'm gonna kick that down to a 4.5, but I don't believe that would change the position of this palette because it has a final score of 22. That just means that it tied with the previous palette. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, you guys. I'm a little bit surprised that this next one ranked as high as it did because I do enjoy this palette, but I feel like I'm kind of growing out of this makeup style a little bit, and that is the Give It To Me Straight palette from ColourPop. So for formula, I gave this one a 5. I don't have any issues with the textures or the tones in here. I think they're really beautiful. Packaging, I gave it a 4.5. It's kind of boring. I honestly prefer packaging on their other palettes a little bit better. Versatility, I gave it a 4. I do like that this has kind of some berries in it alongside warm tones, alongside some moderately cool tones. I mean, it's definitely not a cool tone palette, but I feel like this shade right here could be considered a little bit more cool toned. And then for inspiration, I gave it a 3.5. Again, it's just kind of an everyday palette. It's nothing that I'm going to be super excited to reach for to create like a really, really glam look for Instagram. And then finally, ability to create a full look, I gave it a 5. It checked every single box there too. Those all lead to a resulting score of 22 and put this in 4th place. I was shocked at this next palette, honestly, because it's not that I don't like this palette or that I don't get excited to use it. I just get excited to use other palettes more, and that is the Zodiac palette, you guys. This was in my number 2 spot. How crazy is that? It blows my mind. It blows my mind. So first of all, let's start with the formula. I gave this one a 4.5. Honestly, just because the shade right here, the Aquarius, can be a little bit temperamental. You definitely have to work with it and build it up a little bit. Next is packaging. I gave it a 5. I love the packaging on this palette so very much. I think it's stunning. I wish Kathleen would do all of her packaging like this. Just the blue and the rose gold is just right on my alley. I love it so much. For versatility, I gave this one a 4.5. I really do like the color story because it has a mix of warm tones and cool tones. And then for inspiration, I gave it a 4.5 for kind of the same reason. It's quite versatile, and ability to create a full look, I gave it a 5. So that is a resulting score of 23.5, and we have one more palette left, you guys. Can you guess it? Pause the video, leave your guess down below. Let's see how well you guys know my collection. All right, let's see if you guys guessed it right. The final palette that I'm ranking as number 1 is the ColourPop Through My Eyes palette. This one is a relatively new addition to my collection. Well, I guess it's not really new anymore, but I feel like in the realm of my ColourPop buying habits, this is one of the newest palettes that I have added to my collection from them. This one, I gave the formula a 4, which is kind of weird because I feel like all the past couple palettes leading up to this one have had a 5 for the formula. I find that the shade Moody can be a little bit temperamental. You have to work with it a little bit. Same with LOMO, but otherwise I think the formula in this palette is really beautiful. Packaging, I gave it a 5. I wasn't a big fan of this packaging to begin with, but once I got it home, I just fell in love with it. I love the deep emerald green color, and I love the little gold accent lettering. Versatility, I gave this palette a 5. I love the color story of this palette so much. I love the oranges, the yellows, the greens, the purples, the yummy bright fiery orange. I just think it's so versatile, and I can see so many looks coming out of this palette. Inspiration, gave it a 5 for the same reason. I feel so inspired every single time I open this palette. And ability to create a full look, I gave this one a 5. It checks every single one of my boxes, and that ends in a resulting score of 24 out of 25. How crazy is that, you guys? Was this what you thought my number 1 would be? I honestly thought my number 1 was either going to be Good Sport, because I just love the color story of this one so much, or Dream Street, because this is just my OG classic and it's just one of my favorites. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what your all-time favorite ColourPop palette is down below, and as well as what else you would like to see me rank in my collection. Thanks for sticking with me today. I had so much fun hanging out with you guys, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!